Okay, we are at 7 o'clock and we have a quorum, all right? Can everybody hear me? Very good. I'm gonna talk a little bit here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cleveland High School PTA General Meeting. My name is Melissa Toledo. I'm the PTA president, and my daughter is a senior at Cleveland High School. Today is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021, and we've got a full program starting with the principal's report. Afterwards, we'll get on to PTA business with reports from our treasurers, membership coordinator, and some of our committees. We're in person. How cool is that? Tonight, we'll also cast votes on our standing rules and 2 new board members. And we'll end the meeting with some announcements, including a blurb about next week's Parents Forum, which will focus on safety. It's our first general meeting of the school year, and we're trying out a hybrid style meeting. So some of us are actually in the school, in the student leadership room, and everyone else is joining us on Zoom. And we truly appreciate you joining us tonight and apologize in advance for any little hiccups that we may experience tonight. And so would everyone please sign your name into the chat so we know who is here, and let us know if you're a PTA member or not. And also throughout the evening, if there are any questions or any things that you want clarification on, we do have people reviewing the text messages. So just go ahead and put them in the chat. Before we move on with our agenda, I want to take a moment to remember all those precious lives we've lost to COVID-19. It's been tough and it's been hard, but we're still here and we can look forwards. I want to give thanks to our first responders, to our administrators, to our staff, to our students and to our families, to our friends and to our neighbors, to the checkout teams, to the delivery drivers, and to everyone that plays a part in our community, because we're in this together. And so, if you have a need and the PTA can help, reach out to one of us and we'll see what we can do. We're on the web at chspdx.org. The PTA's mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families to advocate for all children. And with that, I'd like to introduce the principal of Cleveland High School, JoAnn Watkins. Principal Watkins and her tremendous team have managed to navigate Cleveland High School through unprecedented times. We thank her once again for her service to our children, and we appreciate her taking the time to come to our meeting tonight. If there's time after her report, we'll have a small Q&A, so go ahead and write your questions in the chat, and if we don't get to it, we'll pass the questions on to her. So put your email if you want to get an email response. Okay. Principal Watkins.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Here we are masked up at Cleveland High School in the leadership room, and as it should be. And I'm happy to be here at the first PTA meeting of the school year, and happy to be starting my second year as the principal of Cleveland High School. So I'm just going to make a few announcements and just updates of what's been happening. Our first 3 weeks of school, actually we're into the 4th week of school now. And I'm sure Jan Watt will remind me if I have forgotten something. So some things that are coming up is that, my glasses are fogging, so maybe I'll take them off. Some things that are coming up is that we will be presenting our virtual back to school night tomorrow. You'll be receiving an email with a document that has all the links to the videos, and it'll be posted on our website as well. I will say that, and when you watch my video, I will say this, that I'm disappointed that we are yet again doing it virtually, but we're being extra cautious as we're going through this surge in September and really reducing in the building any large gatherings. And current guidelines from the CDC and the Oregon Health Authority is that adults still need to be 6 feet apart and masked while in the building. And most high schools made the decision to err on the side of caution and have our back to school nights virtually. I will say, however, that we're hopeful to have our parent-teacher conferences have an in-person component, because with the parent-teacher conferences, we will use the model we did last year where you sign up for a slot. And so then you would be able to come to the school, be in the classroom with the teacher. So we wouldn't have the large gathering, right? And then you would be able to stay 6 feet apart from the teacher. And I think it's important for, in my opinion, for parent-teacher conferences, for you to see the place where your child learns, rather than having it as some kind of arena style. And so as we get closer to that event in November, we'll be sending updates, but it's our true hope to be able to do that in person, but also include, as we are with this meeting, a hybrid model, and that having some virtual opportunities for families. Feedback that PPS received, and we received as well, is that some families appreciated the flexibility of not having to travel to the school, but also even to have more family members be able to be present, because they can be in different locations, but be on the meeting with the teacher. So we're going to be trying to meet the needs of as many families as possible, prioritizing students and making sure that we can communicate about how our students are doing here at Cleveland High School. Let's see, so how's it going? So we're super excited that we have students in the building. I will say that as my team and we're out and about quite a bit. We're going into classrooms, we're out in the halls, and I did share in an email, we've had some challenges. What we've noticed now is that the honeymoon phase of being back in school is, I think, about over, and our teenagers are being teenagers, right? And so I think it's really important as a whole community that we're aware of what's happening with our teenagers in the building. One thing I'm gonna say I'm super proud of is our students are keeping their masks on. If sometimes they'll have their masks, like they will break, right? They are so like covering up their whole heads, and we've got masks in all the classrooms. They're really conscientious about getting their masks on. So even though I have already sent out 2 notifications of positive individuals that have been on campus through our contact tracing, we've maintained the 3 feet between students and classrooms. Our teachers have seating charts, and we're following the protocol. So things are working the way they're supposed to be working with that process. We're continuing with our outdoor lunches, which are interesting. But again, we have, when I say when we're interesting, is that like they're really spread out, and we have adults throughout the neighborhood during lunch. And students are conscientious about keeping their masks on as they leave the building, and then as they're leaving this general space. And then at lunch, they are eating with their masks off. I actually made a video that I showed the students about how to eat with the mask. Yes, it's very popular from what I understand.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
Well, because I was drinking some Diet Coke out of a Burgerville cup, and they were very interested to see what I was going to eat. In particular, some of them thought I should have eaten a messy cheeseburger. Instead, I dug up some almonds from my snack drawer. But anything that you can share with your students, however, about when they're outside and eating, they should still be distant from each other. And the more distant, to be honest with you, the better, okay? So we're encouraging students to scoot, hey, scoot back, or you're a little bit too close. And we have a lot, like I said, we have adults out and about during lunch and all over campus, including walking to businesses and into businesses and around the neighborhood, and just kind of making a general sweep as we come back into the building. And we have, it's kind of interesting to see at Powell Park in particular, like when it's close to the lunch period being over, you really do just, the student, they're getting up and they're gathering their stuff. For the most part, they're throwing their trash away. So I've been, actually pretty impressed. However, bit of disappointing news today. We did have an altercation. Some of our students got into an altercation with each other, but it was near the target. But by the time we got adults up there, they had all scattered. We do know, and I'm always curious about why students do this, but there are videos of the altercation. So if your student, I'll be honest, if your student says anything like, oh, there was a fight today at the school and there's this video, you can feel free to reach out to me in particular, because we also know that students are struggling with, to be honest with you, like social cues and being back together as in a school, right? And we're seeing that particularly, I'm going to say this, with our younger students, our freshmen, okay? So we really want to be able to wrap around them, see what's going on. I always feel that behaviors that we see is because there are needs the student has that aren't being met. And they could be, quite frankly, like just emotional needs, they're just trying to navigate the space, right? As they're also, growing and hormonal changes and a lot of things going on with being a young teenager. And still layered on top of that, the fact that we are in a global pandemic, right? That has not, unfortunately, changed. So please feel free to reach out if you hear anything. We actually have been in contact. We should have a video actually from Target, but we'll be working with those students because we certainly want all of our students to be safe, during lunch and while they're here in the school. I did receive some emails. So I said to someone today, I don't want to talk about bathrooms, but I will talk about bathrooms a little bit. So, and it was in the New York Times and NPR News about this TikTok challenge, which was to film yourself either taking something from the school or like stealing something from the bathroom or like damaging the bathroom. So we did have 2 bathrooms that were really struck. And yes, we did lock those bathrooms, but I would say on the day that it hit that day, we locked all the bathrooms for the afternoon because we didn't want to have the damage widespread. So quite frankly, it has taken some time to get those. A lot of it was really harmful graffiti. And understand that when students come into a space like the bathroom and there's like really harmful words on the wall, we don't want our students exposed to that. So we're not going to let them in the bathroom while we're trying to get the graffiti off the walls. And I'll tell you with this, this was some stubborn stuff. So it was a lot of graffiti cleaner and I think about 3 or 4 coats of paint to really get it covered up. So, and again, like I said, we're out in the halls a lot and, checking on students, making sure, but we do, yes, indeed, want to have our bathrooms open. But I will tell you that if we're locking a particular bathroom here, it's for a real reason. If we have soap dispensers that, for instance, have been ripped off of walls, there's no way for the students to wash their hands. We can't let them use that bathroom until that gets fixed. If we have harmful graffiti, I don't want students exposed to that. So we're not going to go in the bathroom. If we have students vaping or smoking, we don't want students to have to smell that, experience that, because that's really, it is harmful, right? So that's when we lock the bathroom. We try to take care of the issue as quickly as we can so we can get the bathrooms open. And we always try to, and we did even with the TikTok issue, keep a bathroom open that we could monitor very well. Okay, so we think that particular trend has died down. I found it very interesting that it made the New York Times and the NPR News, but it was something that happened literally nationwide. And I'm going to say that there's part of that education around using social media, but I also think it's just that all the coming back together again. Schools across our nation opened, and students who had been isolated for over 18 months were now in a crowd. You know, at this school, we have over 1,650 students at the school, right? So part of that's really overwhelming, right? And so again, then you know, students are going to express that anxiety, that stress in a variety of ways. And we will communicate when things are happening so we can be partners in helping support our students here at Cleveland. And I want to also say, though, don't want to, but there's a lot of, you know, a lot of good things happening here. Like I said, I love walking in the halls with, you know, the students, and I'll be honest, I even like the teenage eye rolls when I'm saying, hope you had a great day today. And they're like, okay, really? But in fact, one day when I was yelling that on a Friday, when they're getting ready to leave the building at the end of the day, one student was behind me and she said, you know what? I did have a great day today. And then she shared with me, you know, what she was doing in her classes and things. We have students already working on projects and really getting into the curriculum. We've been working with our staff about how important that social emotional learning is and how they can use their content to also do some social emotional learning. We've established one of our school continuous improvement plans to actually be to increase our students' sense of belonging in Cleveland. And I'm so proud of that goal because our staff is really behind it and we feel it's really important and it feels right, right? And so part of that work is actually with our club fair tomorrow. So tomorrow, your students during flex, they're going to stay in their 5th period class. And when we have flex, it's always after the 1st period of the day, okay? So they will, for tomorrow though, they'll stay with their 5th period teachers, and then we have a whole virtual lesson for them to explore clubs virtually, to be able to sign up for clubs, to get a process about how to start a club if they want to start a club. And we'll be doing, you know, even more outreach besides the virtual club fair, but we're really framing this fair about here. This is part of our school improvement goal, is to, you know, way you can feel a sense of belonging is being with a group that you feel an affinity to, and you want to do some things to support the school through that group. So I'm really very excited about that. And our leadership, we're in our leadership classroom, and they have their info of all their plans of, you know, getting ready to launch our club fair tomorrow. So super excited about that. And then next week is a week extravaganza of homecoming activities. And what I really love about these activities for homecoming next week is that we're spreading them out across all the sports, right? So it's not just one, you know, it's not, you know, so we're saying we'll have something happening at a volleyball game. We'll have things happening at, you know, the soccer games. We'll have things happening at the football game. So I'm very excited about that. And then at the halftime at the boys soccer game is when we will have, you know, it'll be a longer halftime to do some things at the stadium. So, and we've launched a new app for students, and we will send out how you can download it as well. It's a phone app called Treasury, and that's Trivory. Now what Treasury does is the students, it's all about Cleveland. So they see the schedule. So they'll know, oh, it's an A day, it's a B day. It's linked to TriMet, so they can get TriMet buses information. It's a way for, it's linked to our athletic schedule. Here's all the games. Here's where the games are, right? Leadership has input to go, here are the activities that are happening in the school. And this is like one place for the students to get all of that information, and you'd be able to get it to see the same thing that they're seeing. And we're pretty excited to have that tool because we know that students, you know, last year they shared like trying to navigate a lot of different systems, and students who, and this can also be navigated through a web interface. So all of this, you know, the students have their PPS Chromebooks, so you don't have to have a smartphone to have access to Treasury. You can use your PPS Chromebook as well, and then your student has access to that information about what's going on at the school. And so, you know, if they're, I don't know if they ever pop a question to you, you go, hey, check Treasury, see if it's in there. So and here's something else that's also very exciting about that app. The app was written and developed by a student at Roosevelt High School to help high school students. And that student now, Taryn, is a senior at Roosevelt. And I want to believe, and I met Taryn like 3 or 4 years ago when he was like a freshman. And he had this goal, like, I want all the high schools and PPS to be using this app. And sure enough, when you download Treasury, right? And he's a young man of color. And when you download Treasury, you see all the different schools, Franklin and Cleveland and Lincoln and Grant, right? So I was very excited for us to be able to support him. I think he's very close to his goal of having all of his high schools use his, and it's because he is a student and he knows, like, here's what students want to know, and this is how we check things, this is how we interact, you know, with media. I'm gonna say social media in a responsible way, right? It's developed with that lens. So pretty excited about that communication tool for our students. Okay, I put my glasses back on, so I don't think they're going to fog anymore. Dan, do you see any major? Roosevelt. He's from Roosevelt. Yes. And I think there's some, yeah, someone's saying Treasury is great. Yes, and thanks. There's the link there. Okay.
There are Red Cross clubs having a blood drive on the 29th, and you are welcome as a community member. If you would like to donate to come. Our Red Cross club is very, very active, very goal oriented, bless their hearts. This is the second one they've had already this year. Some are going to be off site, but this one is at Cleveland.
So that's on the, so if you didn't hear that, what Jan's announcing is that we're having a blood drive on the 29th, and you can participate if you'd like to participate.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at the gym. You can also encourage your child, and your child, when they're a certain age, they do need your permission to donate blood. And I spoke to the teacher today, and I'm excited that we're participating in this effort. And he's very goal oriented. He wants to, if we got 90 slots or whatever, he's going to fill that. He's going to fill all those slots. Anything else, Jan, that I?
No, it's great. No, absolutely. Everybody is working hard, and next week is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that was a very, very popular month last year, 2 years ago. And as you can tell in here, I'm glad you're meeting in here because you have a sense of everything these classes, this class in particular is doing. There's 2 of them, and then her calendar's up there. These kids very, 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 very much are active and work hard. And just on a personal note for me, the highlight of all of this is having the kids here.
Oh, yes.
It is just, there's such an aura. I was telling somebody at registration, these kids are actually pumped to be here. It wasn't a typical registration, you know? These kids were happy to see adults. They were happy to see teachers. It's just such a huge emotional lift for everybody to have your kids.
Yeah, and so okay, so then yes, so we have the link to the Treasury for you that you can download it as well. And so I see a question here about a COVID vaccine survey. I'll get that information. I will say that the district is it is rolling some things out, like with certain grade levels in schools first, and doing kind of a rolling thing. But I'll find out about the survey, about the COVID-19 survey. There was information in the e-news about if your child is vaccinated, you can get that into Synergy. That's very helpful. And you will be receiving information from me next week about how your child can participate in COVID-19 screening testing. Okay, so there'll be a regular screening testing if you're interested in that, and I'll be sending out all the forms and the information about.
In the school?
Yes, it's at the school. The kits would be delivered by OHSU to the school. And you do take the kids home, right? And I believe it's a saliva sample. So no spitting in school, but go home and spit. And seriously, then you bring the sample. There's gonna be regular like FedEx, like dropping them off and picking them up and dropping them off and picking them up, right? And I'll have full details. They're rolling it out to the younger grades first because those students cannot be vaccinated at this time. But we are participating in the screening, testing, and I'll send out information about how you can opt your child in next week, because that's when the letters are going out to high schools. Someone's talking about a PPS on September 17th. But what we can do is we can find that link and put it on our website to the vaccine survey, make it easier for people as well. I know when you get a barrage of emails, some of them are coming from PPS, some of them are coming from me through School Messenger. If your child is involved in sports, then they're getting things through Family ID. There's like these multi-pronged ways of communicating. It can be confusing. So we can put that in there. And then there was one other piece that's coming up. Well, when it comes to me.
I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
When you lock the bathrooms, how do the kids go to the bathroom? What's the protocol?
Well, we kept one multi-stalled bathroom open.
Okay.
So
there is a bathroom that they can always get to.
yes. And
Do they
so
know which one, is it announced like which bathroom is actually open, or do they have to
Run around
and try to find one?
I think I want to say for that particular afternoon, we were out in the hall just directing students. Like we were all over the place saying, just go to, because we're responding quickly. But it's not, I'm hoping we're not in a situation where we have to lock that many bathrooms again. There's just like one or two based on behaviors, but certainly any discussion you can have with your student or anything that they know. Like the other thing that can happen is that your student might not feel comfortable coming to me or an administrator when they've seen something in the restroom that was disturbing to them, right? But they might say that to you, like, oh, we walked in and a person was vaping. We walked in and someone was, doing graffiti. You should please encourage them to reach out. Okay, because there's, we don't have, I'll be honest, we do not have enough personnel to be like, we can't sit in those restrooms all day. Right. So, but we have staff as well. Staff go in and use like our teaching staff goes in, et cetera. So, we'll work together on that so we can be safe and do what we need to do here. Okay.
A question from Janet in the chat. Wanting to know, Principal Watkins, if you can articulate the notification protocol.
Okay, the notification protocol, I'm assuming for COVID-19. So this is the way it looks. I've got trust me, the procedure memorized. So when an individual reports to the school site, we gain knowledge that an individual has tested positive for COVID-19 and they've been on our campus. We immediately report that to the county. And then we work on doing the contact tracing. So the contact tracing does literally involve myself and another vice principal, Sean Murray. We're the COVID-19 management team at Cleveland High School. And we go into those spaces where the student, like we can know the students, if it's a student, we know the student's schedule, right? So we do the contact tracing. The order of notification is this. The student who is positive receives a notification from the county about the length of their isolation home, like they can't come to school, and that's how long they have to remain out of Cleveland. And it gives them the date of when they may return, as long as they have been symptom-free for 24 hours. So that's the first notification that has to go out. Then if we've determined there are any close contacts, the close contacts are notified. Close contacts are notified, quite frankly, by me personally, either by a phone call, and if it's a staff member in person, they must get that notification first. So they get it from me verbally, and then they get sent the guidance from the county. If, I know that's my phone, sorry. If the close contact is fully vaccinated, that means for Moderna and Pfizer, that's 2 weeks, like since the second shot, before the exposure. If this person is fully vaccinated, then the close contact is not quarantined and may return to school, but they are told they need to monitor their symptoms, right? And they still get this very formal notification from the county about monitoring their systems and symptoms if they develop any, and keeping us in contact. Once those notifications are made, and again, they always are made first, then I send the broad communication to the community that says, and you've seen 2 of them, and that's when I send that out. And the target is to send that out within 24 hours of us hearing about the positive case. But part of that process does involve getting that, you know, part of our process involves the county, and we've had to work with the county has, and the county is serving all of Multnomah County and all the schools in Multnomah County, right? So we have, there's been some change in to quicken our process, which is nice, streamline our process so we can get the notifications out more quickly. But that's what the whole thing looks like.
So being fully vaccinated keeps you in school.
If you're a close contact, I will say that if you are positive for COVID-19, regardless of your vaccination status, the county will have you stay home. I will also tell you that the county is not shortening any quarantine periods at all, even based on negative tests. So that's how that's looking. And I do say, I'll end it with this, is that in my back to school night video that I'm sure you'll want to see, okay, I mentioned how I hope that my future communications will come to a time where I am not talking to you about COVID-19.
There are a couple questions.
But I will be happy, to answer questions.
There are a couple questions in there. Janet wants to know, what is the threshold for close contact?
Mm-hmm. So in close contact is in classrooms. So it's students in classrooms, 3 feet apart, nose to nose, right? And it has to be, and so they have to be that far apart. Let's say, and sometimes you look in a room and you might think that's not 3 feet apart. We have literally measured. And when I go and do contact tracing, I bring a meter stick with me. So let's say we're sitting here, 2 people sitting here. She's gonna be my example. We'll turn this thing, right? So Melissa and I need to be 3 feet nose to nose if we're students. But let's say I wanted to look at the work that Melissa was doing, because we're collaborating, and I'm leaning over like this. That's good. She moved away. But let's say she didn't. As long as we can get momentarily close, because the other piece is 15 minutes. So did the students get closer than 3 feet from each other for more than 15 minutes? And that applies to classrooms. We also ask, if it's a student who's tested positive, we ask where they eat lunch. So then there's guidelines for eating lunch, which the county, I think, is recommending even more distance. Originally, it was outside 3 feet. Now they really want the kids to be 6 feet apart. That is a challenge, I will say that. Okay. And for adults, the county has not changed the close contact definition for adults. And that is 6 feet, actually, 6 feet. So it's 6 feet teacher to student, 6 feet between, between staff. And so the other piece of the contact tracing is talking to the teacher, getting the lesson plan, and asking what the activities in the class were on the days that we're contact tracing for.
Other questions are, am I muted there? Is it recommended that close contacts get tested?
If they're fully vaccinated, the county, I think at this time is not necessarily recommending that. I will say for testing at the school, we do have rapid tests. That is, those rapid tests are federally funded and can only be used for symptomatic students and staff, right? When we start the screening testing, any student can opt in, and that's what screening testing is, regular testing. And I think that it'll be once a week. If a student opts in, they can get tested once a week, okay? But always people are told that the time to go get, if you're going to go get a test, it's got to be 3 to 5, it's 3 to 5 days after your exposure is when the test is going to give you the most accurate results. And it's 5 to 7 days if it's a rapid test. So if you feel like
after you've been exposed?
After you've been exposed.
So
sometimes what can happen is people think, oh, I need to get tested now. And in fact, you will actually not get results that are as efficacious as if you wait the recommended time period.
Because it needs to get in your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are a couple other questions on there. Well, one, Emily Swanson says the CDC recommends testing for close contacts who are vaccinated.
Okay. So we're following, I'm going to say, I don't have my guideline, but we're we're following the county's guidelines on recommendations for testing. Yeah.
And Janet wants to know how many students would be notified as close contacts per positive case.
It has to be how many ever students are considered close contacts.
Okay.
So as an example, I'm sitting in a classroom, and I'll use the example when Melissa was sitting next to me. Let's say there were students sitting, we were a table of 4. Well, this table of 4 is clearly further away. That's why my teachers have to submit seating charts. So I would be most concerned about this group of 4 and whether or not any of in that group, because these tables are all spread out in this classroom, right? And so that's the other piece.
Are we good, JJ?
I think so, but if anyone else in this room who has a computer can actually monitor the chat, it's hard for me to take notes and get questions from the chat. But that's it, no more questions.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again. I hope everyone has a nice evening. I'm going to do like I like to say, tootle home on my bicycle.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I am I'm doing that very carefully. That's according to Jan.
Is there anything you guys need from me? I do have a question for you. Am I correct that your next PTA meeting in October features opportunities for new families to meet either virtually or in person? Or am I wrong about that?
I think it's advertised that way, right? New Families 101 program night.
It is October, right?
Yes, October 20th.
Because I was asked about that by a parent at the soccer match, and I said I was pretty sure it was October. I'm glad I was right about that.
Yes.
But seriously, is there anything else I can do for you?
No, Jan, I think we're good. Thank you for coming so much.
I'm extremely supportive of our video. Get out your pitch for faculty to join the PTA.
Oh, okay.
They need to do that. Jim wants that. It's good to see you. All right, take it easy. It's always good to see you. Take it easy.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now Let's move on to board business, okay? The secretary's draft of the minutes of June 2nd, 2021 meeting has been distributed. Are there any corrections to the minutes that were distributed? Does anybody have anything? Okay, if there are no corrections, the minutes are approved as distributed. No corrections, thank you. Excellent. Okay, the next order of business for board members is to vote on our current standing rules. The standing rules have been previously distributed. Are there any corrections to the standing rules? Can I hear a motion to approve the standing rules? Come off of mute.
Motion to approve?
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Very good. It is moved and seconded to approve the standing rules. All those in favor, raise your hands. Oh.
Who seconded it? I didn't hear that.
Kristen, I did, JJ.
Kristen did, okay. I don't have my sound on that one.
Okay, so all those in favor, raise your hand and keep it raised until it's counted by our secretary.
Someone else, yeah, I don't have my screen big enough, so I can't. Someone else is going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Should we maybe write in the text? Would the text be easier? Let's do that, everyone. For JJ, let's write our vote in the text. So all those in favor, write your answer, yes or no, approve, aye. Okay, and we're gonna give JJ a moment to count.
We don't usually count them, we just say.
Okay, we gotta, okay.
We've got 4 hours ago. We do. Yeah, 15.
Okay, the ayes have it. There we go. Very good. So the standing rules have been approved for this year. Thank you, everyone. So the next order of business is our Treasury Report. So the chair recognizes our co-treasurers, Dan Mason and Nicole Chavez, but I think Dan is going to be doing all the talking for us tonight. So Dan, go ahead, unmute yourself. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. I don't know, Melissa, can you pull up the report and we'll just walk us through it really quickly? We're so early in the year, there's nothing really very grabbing in it, or maybe I should try to share my screen here. This is not my forte. Okay, well, I'm just going to start. Melissa, I believe you attached to the agenda a summary report of our year-to-date income and expenses, as well as our cash balances. There's, as I say, nothing that shocking there. We've so far have income totaling $2,133.25. And that's largely comes in the form of memberships and general donations. We received some large donations and a number of memberships, and then as far as expenses go, slightly more than our income to date, $2,987.54. So a net negative of $854.29 to date. I just remind everybody that we've projected this year that we would have a net underage of around $19,550. So spending greater than our revenues. And I guess as far as kind of some key line items for the year, we're looking at on the revenue side, the spring fundraiser is a significant income source, $10,000 we budgeted for that. And then the other major funding source or income source is the, I think it's called gold cards, the gold card and hallway ticket sales for the senior party. And we've budgeted income of $15,000 for that. Our major spending items are, let me find those. Teacher grants, we've budgeted $10,000 for those. Principal's discretionary fund, another $5,000. And then weekend warriors and PTA discretionary, $2,500 each. And then the senior graduation party and kind of associated activities, $18,000. So I guess where we are right now, so that takes us through August. So, you know, we're looking good. We are now seeing revenues coming in for the memberships and for the brats and brews. And I haven't broken those out yet, but there's a significant amount of money coming in there. I think so far it looks like around $2,300 to date in those two combined areas. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think, you know, we started off with a bank balances of $48,000, $432.85. As I say, we're projecting a net negative outflow this year, and so we'll still are projecting at the end of the year to have a positive bank balance in the neighborhood of around $28,000. So that's pretty much it, Melissa. I guess the other thing I think we're going to talk about a little later, if I'm not mistaken, is the annual audit that we need to perform sometime before the end of November. And so
yeah, let's talk about it right now.
Okay.
We actually need someone to do that, right? That's a need for us.
Yeah, we need a couple people, I think. I haven't done it before, and it looks like the way the rules are set up by the PTA, because I was part of the check writing process last year, that I probably can't participate as, you know, an actual auditor, although I will be participating, kind of, you know, sharing information. So I guess where we are right now, Melissa, with that is that I think Nicole and I need to spend, you know, maybe a week or two and kind of gather ourselves and figure out how to proceed on this. And I don't, and I guess at this point, it'd be nice to know if anybody else has already participated or previously participated in this, and, you know, would you be willing to share some information with Nicole and myself about how the audit was handled in prior years? So I think probably, you know, in the next, as I say, in the next couple of weeks, once we wrap our arms around what all this is going to entail, we'll be reaching out to the board and looking for at least a couple of people who can participate as auditors of our fiscal year 2021 operations.
Yeah, I think our volunteer coordinators will also be able to help us with that need. Right. I think one more thing that we wanted to talk about, Dan, was the PTA Clothing Center donation. And see if there is anybody here that has some background with that. Anybody from the PTA? Has anybody? It was an expense line, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it's budgeted. I guess I can, I don't know at the top of my head how much, but let me look and see.
I think it's like $700 something dollars.
It's $750, Dan.
Thank you.
So, so I guess nobody here has done the PTA clothing center before?
I've done
Okay.
it at our elementary school, and typically schools that can donate to the Portland Schools clothing closet to help support it. They buy new socks, underwear, I think jeans, or certain items that they are able to buy new for students, which is nice. And so they rely on support for that.
And the PTAs, so from what, because I read something and I wasn't quite sure. So the PTA supplies volunteers to the center. So these closets are not in the schools, but specific schools where people go to.
Yeah, it's usually the Portland Clothing Closet, for people who haven't been, is housed in the Marshall School, and they rely on I don't know how it is in COVID now, and I don't know if it's open. If anyone else on this call knows if they're actually seeing people, I would love to know. But they have an enormous amount of clothing donations. Schools donate lost and founds. Schools do clothing drives of new and gently used clothing. And so the volunteers sort through the clothes and fill the racks so everything is stocked. They also are personal shoppers for kids that come in needing clothes. There's a whole shopping list. The students are able to walk out with almost 2 large, like hefty bags full of clothes, shoes, jackets, and they can go twice a year. So they can go at the beginning of the year, and then I think they can go again in the spring, if I'm remembering correctly.
So as a PTA, is this something we want to participate in again? Because they reached out to us about this. So my assumption is that yes, it is going to be starting again. We haven't been able to actually, communicate with anyone, but we got the paperwork. So we were just a little hesitant to send any money on a program that may or may not be, going on. So,
yeah, it's an important resource for students.
So if we can verify, right, that the program is open, then we should go ahead with our donation that we have set aside for it. Because I mean, so, and it's already voted, it's already in our budget, so there's nothing for us to do, right? We're just having a conversation about this.
And so they have asked for volunteers.
It says that the Cleveland has 2 different dates that we're already supposed to send volunteers to. So like, and they asked for like 5 or 6 volunteers each time. So
do you know what the dates are?
No, I didn't memorize them.
Okay. I'm happy to go. I've done it before and I enjoy doing it.
Okay. Okay. That's
if,
awesome.
If I'm available on that day, I'm happy to go.
All right. Well, our volunteer coordinators will be all over that. Okay. Are we good with the treasurer's report? Shall we move on? Dan, is there anything else you have for us?
No, I have nothing else for you.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. The next order of business is our membership report. And so the chair recognizes our membership coordinator, Carolyn Choi.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
is gonna take my seat and talk.
Very brief.
Yeah, that's all we need, brief.
Hi, everybody. So all I have to report for membership is that we have so far in just 3.5 weeks, I think it's great, over 50 members. If any of you have not yet signed up, I will drop a link into the chat as soon as I get back to my phone, but encourage other people to sign up, and I think we're rolling. So that's it.
Carolyn, can I ask a question?
Dan has a question for you.
I can't hear, so I don't have headphones.
Sorry.
Can I just turn it on? Can I
Yeah, I have my, hold on.
Or I can just ask it of you.
There you go, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Will we be doing some kind of membership recruitment drive or whatever during the Brats and Brews? Is that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely give people the opportunity to sign up on the spot there. So yes.
Okay. Do you need any help like manning a desk or anything for that?
No, I was just going to use a QR code and have people sign up on their phones if they wanted to. So nothing complicated.
Okay, so you're going to do that then. You volunteered. Okay, great. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks.
I'm having fun. let me put my headphone back on. Hold on. Okay.
Colette would like to know if there's a PTA clothing closet coordinator.
There is no PTA clothing closet coordinator yet.
Sounds like a volunteer need.
It sure does.
It has that certain ring to it. So, and a couple names mentioned here. So that's great. Christy and I will add that to the list.
Yes.
Okay. So our next order of business is e-news. We're going to get a report on e-news, and the chair recognizes our Vice President, Janet Morgan.
All right, trying to get the technology right here. Sorry, I got a house full of people, so sorry if there's background noise. I am 3.5 years into the role of e-news editor. And just for anyone that doesn't have the background, the weekly blast goes to anybody who signs up, and all registered families, all emails that are on the registration are added in. So it is an opt-out, not an opt-in, because we received the email list from the office. So the information in there, I have tried hard to make it kind of keep it really fresh, not repeat stuff over and over again, draw a very clear line around events and notifications that are just specific to the Cleveland community and what would be of interest to people in the community. Content is what's submitted to me, not the other way around. So sometimes I will ask for contributions about things that I know are going on, but really it's just what comes my way, which is to say, always looking for ideas for content. You know, as all of you members of the community, if you think, oh gosh, I would have liked to have seen something on this in e-news, or it would be great if e-news could share this with the community. Whether it's a success story or a need in the community, like an ask in the wood shop. We had a great result with one of those. Please always don't hesitate to ping me about anything that could be shared with the community. And yeah, that's it.
So what's our list? How big is our list that we send out?
Gosh, it's a 3,000 something. I can pull it up. Let me go into the audience tab. Oh, I got to log in here.
So e-news goes out to all of the families, right? And like you said, you need to opt out of it. So e-news is a tremendous resource that the PTA has to distribute information, right? A lot of the stuff that we put on our social media, we get from e-news, right? So, and submissions are due Friday at 5 p.m.
Yeah, the stated deadline is noon on Friday. And
noon? Okay.
Well, here's the thing. If there's something coming that you would like to put in e-news and you don't yet have all the details because you're waiting on whatever it is over the weekend or you just can't get it to me, just let me know something's coming. I'll put it in the content and then I just save a space. It's never the same twice. Sometimes I get e-news done like mostly even Friday evening, and sometimes it's Sunday night late that I'm trying to get it done. So yeah, one ask I will put out is that I have in the past had great support from some volunteers who have been my proofreader, and so that's something that if anybody really likes doing proofreading, they're good at spotting that missing comma or whatever it is, would love to have that support. And it doesn't have to be something that if you're just traveling or whatever and you just can't do it, that's fine. But just send you the link to the draft and get your feedback to make sure the links work and just that everything is clear.
Would you say that the for proofreading, would that be done on like a Saturday or the Sunday?
It's more often on a Sunday, but sometimes I have a good draft on a Saturday. Yeah. One other thing, sorry, let me say this because I forgot. If you are submitting something, what I really like is a link to an external source, whether that's a website or in some cases a shared Google Doc. So for example, you are putting together the ski team and the information packet around what the ski team requirements are is still coming together. So instead of having to continuously update me with the requirements, you just give me a linked document. I can say, learn more about the requirements here. And then on your requirements document, you can say, as of this date, look for updates, or send your email if you want to get new updates or whatever it is. But what I want is to not be responsible for content, but to be that vehicle to get you to where you need to go. So maybe you need to learn how the CHS website has a lot of this information, and I'm going to link back to it. So I try to keep the posts in the e-news really brief, respect readers' time, and the reader who wants more, get them to the place where they can get more than 4 sentences. Yeah. So sorry, I forgot to say that earlier, but yeah, proofreading is sometime over the weekend.
Okay, very good. So we need a proofreader and we need somebody to take over for Janet. So this year, this will be the year, Janet. And I gotta say, I love e-news. I'm addicted to e-news. E-news is great. So come on, e-news. All right, everybody. Thank you, Janet. Okay, so our next order of business is we're actually going to get just a recap. We're going to talk about something that we did earlier this year already. We did a back to school staff appreciation barbecue, right? And to talk a little bit about that, the chair recognizes board member Leslie Kossoff and our treasurer Nicole Chavez. You guys can just talk. Oh no, Leslie's not going to talk. Okay, so Nicole, you talk a little bit. Leslie was amazing though. Okay.
Hi, everybody. So as far as the barbecue went, it was incredible. We had an amazing turnout and it was really well received by the staff at the high school. we were actually asked by the principal to come back in the future and do this again at the start of every year. It was a beautiful way to kick it off and show our appreciation. The weather was perfect. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, a little breezy. And there was a ton of space for people to spread out. Some people brought their own chairs. They kind of gathered with their, comrades, and there were some big groups and some smaller groups, literally spread all across the field. It was really cool. And 808 Barbecue, they did incredible. Their food was delicious. We had plenty, which was awesome, and lots of leftovers. And the only complaint we had about food was that we didn't know which options didn't have soy in them, but we had a vegan option and gluten-free option. So next time, maybe we'll figure out which ones have soy. Other than that, it was excellent and a wonderful volunteer turnout too. So thank you for everybody who came and helped with that. It was incredible. It was nice to have extra hands.
And maybe, we could do it again next year. I won't be here, you guys. New tradition. That'll be our legacy. All right, thank you, Nicole. So our next order of business is we're going to talk about weekend warriors. Okay, and so the chair recognizes our board members, Robin Springer and Trisha Shore.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robin Springer. I am the parent of a junior at Cleveland, and I agreed to take on this role with Trisha, being the weekend warriors person. And really, it just stemmed from the fact that my husband and I drove by the school in June and it just couldn't, or May, and just couldn't stand the way it looked. And so we decided to take it on. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for the community cleanup day because I was taking my other child to college in New York. And so I wasn't there. But, the plan and what we'd like to do and to get people excited to come out and help is really, yard work is the biggest thing. And we're going to need to go out soon and start raking up leaves. I'm trying to get the beds back in order. Bought a bunch of plants and planted, those were planted by volunteers during the community care day outside of the gym. And I drove by recently and watered after I got back and they were still alive. So thank goodness. And Jan Watt has indicated there's a painting project she'd like Trisha and I to look into. So we're going to get more information about that. And really just trying to set up maybe 4 or 5 dates this semester, like just for this year. And then we'll set up additional dates for the starting in January. So I will do a e-news blurb to send to you, Janet, and hopefully we can get a lot of volunteers excited to come out and help. Trisha, do you want to add anything?
Just a little bit interior. We're calling this part, the other half, the interior weekend warriors, though we don't really, in the past, haven't worked on the weekends. It's been on the weekdays because that's when you can get into the school. Because it's the in-school stuff, I've been hesitant to really get anything going at the school. I don't feel like we should be coming in and out of the school painting walls. Like that just doesn't really make sense. So I've asked Jan if there's anything that's really come up to her attention, and she brought up there's some outdoor doors that they want painted. So I thought we'll get our committees together, and on one of the maybe outdoor weekend warrior days, we might paint the doors as a group, get our committees kind of together, or we can do it on a weekday. We'll see what my committee can do. The one thing I asked Jen about was Jan asked, because the one thing we do get our school cleaned up for is bridging the gap. Mm-hmm. And Colette knows a bit about that. And she's not sure because back to school night's also going to be virtual. She hasn't heard anything about bridging the gap. But if they're going to have people in for conferences, bridging the gap's usually in December. And so maybe by then so our committee will help her clean the school, is what one of my thoughts was for bridging the gap. That's really all I have on our plate for the year at this point, because I just feel like everything's kind of up in the air. Not really, but I'd rather the students be in the school and not as parents. If anybody has any thoughts on that, let me know.
Okay, there you go, Weekend Warriors. When we were doing the cleanup here for the PPS event, a lot of the parents were talking about Weekend Warriors. I was on the Weekend Warrior list. And so I kept hearing about this Weekend Warrior list. And so they're excited to be on the list again. So
there's a list.
They were saying they were on a list.
There should be, and we need to get back to Jennifer Abassian because there is a list, and those people love that group. And so we need to get that group. I mean, some of them are old parents. I've got, you know, what's interesting. We have one parent that was his specialty was cleaning graffiti off the school, and Mike Dodge, which many of you guys might know. Anyway, he has reached back out. There hasn't been, I shouldn't say anything, but the schools look, I mean, there's other things that are wrong, but unless I've missed something, I haven't seen much graffiti lately. So if there is, let us know, and we can make sure Robin and I connect with Mike.
And did Jennifer pass along the Weekend Warriors Instagram login info?
No, I don't know if she did.
I think I have that. Yes, okay. I think I do.
Because that's a good thing. You know, we can push that to get people interested in stuff too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just getting some momentum behind it again is what's going to be, you know, we'll get it going.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that came home from, or I guess it wouldn't come home from school at this point. You know, it used to be you'd sign up to be a volunteer or your interest form or something. I didn't see anything like that this year unless I missed it.
Yeah, we really didn't have a volunteer coordinator, so there was no one to take lead.
Okay.
So we haven't seen that yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
I think too, the Brats and Brews is a really perfect place to launch into volunteer recruitment for this year. I mean, I think it's a natural. People, you know, I think this month it would have come and gone anyway, and people would have missed it with all of the rest of the communication. So I would say, Robin, if you're planning to be at Brats and Brews next Sunday, and if you're not,
I'm going to take over. Shanna's got me on the agenda.
Okay, then I think that's where you do it, you know, and then then hopefully we have some sort of sign up.
I think that's the main thing is the follow through right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trisha, maybe I can create like a little sign-in sheet and get people's information, you know, make something cute and then send it to you if you want to print it out.
Yeah, and it sounds like if there's a new volunteer coordinator, I think, right, coming.
Yeah. So let's keep moving on this meeting, and we'll make that happen. Okay, we got to get there. Thank you, Weekend Warriors. Okay.
Colette has a good idea in the chat. I'll just leave it there.
Okay, very good. Our next order of business is a teacher grant report. Okay, and so the chair recognizes our board member, Rosemary Breger.
Thank you, Melissa. My name's Rosemary Breger. I'm a member at large as well. I tried to introduce myself in the chat, but it didn't work because I was having computer problems. So the PTA Grants is off to start. The email just went out last week to the teachers with the forms and instructions on how to make a grant request. This is open until October 8th, at which point we'll put them all together and review them, make sure Joanne has reviewed them as well. And the committee will bring back final funding recommendations back to the PTA board, I believe at the October meeting. I think we should be able to have it pulled together by then. And with the generosity of the community and fundraising efforts by the PTA, we're able to offer $10,000 in PTA grants this year. And those are things that staff and teachers request that will enrich the academic experience of our students. That's my update.
So Teacher Grants is amazing, and I would absolutely recommend board members to get in on it because I mean, there's nothing better than like giving money and for students, you know, so they can go and just do more stuff. I mean, it's really fabulous. Thank you, Rosemary. So if any of your classrooms that you've heard are in need, things like, you know, calculators or books, you know, subscriptions, you know, just fill out the form and, you know, maybe they'll get lucky. All right. Thank you, Rosemary, for that report. So our next order of business is we're going to talk about Brats and Brews. And so the chair recognizes Carolyn Choi, and I'm going to turn my headphone off again.
Oh, I don't need to hear students.
You probably want to hear. Okay, go.
Okay, thanks. Hi again, everybody. So for Brats and Brews, that's next weekend, October 3rd. We have about half of our tickets sold. It is a limited number event because St. Philip Neri can only hold about 150 people. So about half the tickets are sold right now. So if you are not on the ticket list, you should grab a ticket. I recognize a lot of names here from the list, so good on you. What else? The only thing that Sean and I are looking for right now are a couple more volunteers. So the Sign Up Genius went out on Sunday. I'll send it again next week with the remaining items. The thing that we're looking for most right now is just pop-up tents in case it rains. It looks like the forecast is okay, but it will be completely outdoors. So we're gonna hold it all in the parking lot and just pick up your food indoors. So if you have a pop-up tent and can lend it to us, we would be super grateful. But yeah, great, great. Yeah, that's it. Buy your tickets. It'll be a lot of fun. Oh, good. Thanks.
Okay, is everybody's going to Brats and Brews? I'll be there. We'll be wearing our masks. Okay, that's it with our reports, everyone. We made it through our reports. Okay, so now we are going to move on to new business. We're going to talk about our new board members. Okay, we have two amazing individuals who are ready to join the PTA board as co-volunteer coordinators. I'd like to introduce Christy Oliver and Lucretia Lyons. Christy and Lucretia have already been working behind the scenes and have come up with a plan that would allow them to share this position. I'd like to give them each a moment to say hi, and afterwards, we can get a motion to elect them each to the role of board member.
Hi.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Okay, I'll go first. You can hear me all right? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Oliver. I have a 10th grader at Cleveland, and Lucretia and I are really excited to take over this role. We've already learned we work well together. It's going to be good. And my role is going to be kind of like the point person for getting people involved. I'm going to help work on Sign Up Genius, creating more signups, monitoring that, looking for volunteers. I think I'll be the main person that you email if you need volunteers, if just any needs you have, use us, because we're here. You know, anything, we don't want to step on any toes, but we also want to get involved and do like everything we can to make everything easier for all of you to get the volunteers you need. So that's kind of my role, but Lucretia.
Yep, I think we've already established, I think, a good cohort team together. I'm going to be responsible for putting out the word on the needs, primarily right now through the e-news, since it seems to be our primary communication channel. So kind of putting the word out there, routing the names back to Christy, working with all of you to try and get some, exciting blurb going for Janet in the e-news. We've both been frantically taking notes on the ways. It sounds like maybe Brats and Brews is a great first place. We could put a kind of general call for volunteer interest using the existing schedule and events and committees. We can flesh this out. We wanted to do a survey, all that. Christy and I were still kind of
I didn't mention
our way around the existing systems and lists and platforms and who's doing what. So, I was very involved at Hosford. Wonderful to reconnect with so many of you here, and also some old Abernathy contacts, and also wonderful new Cleveland contacts. So we're gonna really make this work. So open to any and all ideas to really get as many people engaged as we can.
Our social media, Instagram and Facebook are also, they all work in tandem, Okay, everyone. Does anyone have any questions? Do we want to ask them anything, or are we good? Shall we move on?
Yay, thank you.
I need to hear a motion to elect Christy and Lucretia to the role of board member. Somebody needs to make a motion.
I will be happy to make a motion to elect Lucretia and Christy as our new volunteer coordinator powered duo. I want that in the minutes, JJ. Just kidding.
That has already been seconded by Nicole. Okay, it has been moved and seconded to elect Christy and Lucretia to the role of PTA board members as volunteer coordinators. All those in favor, write your A's in the chat. I didn't need to put a money sign there. That's fine. All right, are we all good? I would say the ayes have it, and I would say welcome to the PTA board, Christy and Lucretia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I wanted to say my name is not Sam, that's my son. I don't know if you can see that.
It says Sam.
I was very confused by that earlier.
Like, okay, Sam. All right, guys. Well, I am going to, is there any more new business? Does anybody have anything else before I move us out of this category? Okay, very good. So I am going to,
actually,
wait, Janet, yes.
This is just, listen, this is just to you. Would you like me to make mention of the earlier email?
No,
okay.
because with all that needs to be discussed. We could talk about that offline. Are you talking about the bus thing?
No.
But that other COVID, the teacher?
Yeah,
the teacher
yeah,
no, I don't want to talk about that right now. We already had our COVID discussion. We can keep talking about that offline with the people that want to talk about that. So I want to wrap this up with our announcements. So tomorrow, Thursday, September 23rd is virtual back to school night at CHS. So check your emails or go on to the CHS website. Principal Watkins told us all about that. So next Wednesday, September 29th on Zoom, the PTA is having a parents forum. And the purpose of this meeting is to provide a forum to voice safety concerns and find commonalities among them in order to arrive at creative, sustainable solutions. All right, and don't forget, submissions for e-news are on Friday. You can write your emails to cleveland.enews@gmail.com. Okay, to find out more about the PTA and anything you've heard here tonight, visit us online at chspdx.org. You can find us on Instagram at Cleveland HSPTA and on Facebook at CHS Families. Our next general meeting is October 20th And if there is no further business, okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Woohoo! You guys are amazing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.